I went to the store and I was looking for masks, but it was all sold out, so I decided to make my own. I got messages from Instagram from people asking me if I was gonna make masks. The things we'll need for this mask is fabric and elastic. The first thing we need is a pattern. The dimensions of the mask will be 6x9. You cut three fabrics. It's best to use like some kind of thick woven fabric. I'm gonna use this banana fabric. I was inspired by just people watching. I'm always observing people all the time. Like I'm just watching like their style, and I notice people style like bandanas over their mouth. So I was like, this is like the perfect concept. Like, and then the baby blue color, like traditionally it's like medical masks are baby blue. So I was just thinking like this is like the perfect concept, like, and just makes sense to do it. I have 4 layers, but all we need is 3. So we just place the pattern over the fabric, and then most of the times, every time I cut, I use a technique. I use construction paper. It helps. My mentor taught me this. It helps make a crisper cut, and like the fabric doesn't move, and it stabilizes the fabric, so you have like a perfect cut. Like if you're cutting silk and just fabrics that move around, it like stabilizes it. I get this construction paper from Home Depot because it's pretty cheap. Because if you go to a fabric store and you're like always making something, it's gonna cost a lot for a roll. So I think at Home Depot it's like super cheap. See how perfect it is? It's like pretty much matching the pattern, like the dimensions. It's not like shifted or inaccurate. It's like close to the pattern. I went to the store today and I couldn't find any elastic from like Joann's Fabrics and like the local grocery stores. Like everything's sold out. Even masks are all sold out. I was like looking for masks and I was just gonna cut the rubber off, but everything's sold out in all the stores. So I was just walking around the store and thinking about like what kind of material I could use, like what other things are in the store that's like rubber or stretchable. And then I was thinking about like the hair ties. So I went to the CVS, and then I was like looking for a hair tie. So luckily I found like a hair tie to use. I had to think outside the box. So we're gonna need to cut about 7 inches of elastic, preferably if you can find 1/8 of an inch width, that would be perfect, since it's like super thin. But then like all the stores, they're all sold out, so I just got the thinnest. I think this is about like 1/4 of an inch. This is all they had. So I'll cut pretty much 7 inches in length. So now we have the elastic cut out. The next thing I'm going to do is place the elastic on the fabric about 1/2 inch from the top. About there. Oh, and make sure the fabric is facing, there's 2 sides of fabric. So like the front sides are going to be all facing, the front sides are facing together. Like you can pin like the elastic down like this. You can pin it like that, but I would rather glue, since it like stays in place, and I use this like glue like all the time. It's the Beacon 3-in-1 glue. So I'll probably do that, it's easier. And then like the glues, like I like the glue because it basically holds in place. It doesn't like shift, like sometimes the pin shifts and then like it's not as like accurate. So I like to like just glue it so it just holds in place. So you'll do the same thing for the bottom, 1/2 inch up. Now you'll do the same thing to the other side. So everything should kind of look like this. After we got the elastic placed on the outside of the fabric, now we place the outer parts. We'll sew the outer parts together. So the outer shell together. The elastic will be inside. Make sure it's inside. The elastic is inside the outer shell. So before I start sewing, I'll pin the 4 corners in place. So the seam allowance is 1/4 inches from the edge to this line I drew. I don't know if you can see it. Now we'll be sewing around from this point and we'll leave a hole here. So we won't sew here, but we'll start here and we'll just go all the way around 1/4 of an inch to here. Stop here and then there'll be a hole here. So before you start, make sure you back tack so it holds in place and stabilizes the stitch so it won't unravel. Make sure when you reach the end you back tack again. So the next thing you'll do is cut the corners in an angle. So we do this because when you turn the fabric inside out, you have more sharper, pointy corners. After everything's sewn, now we can turn the fabric inside out from the hole we didn't sew. Now with each corner I kind of use something with like a point, but you don't want it too sharp or it'll bust the hole open. But normally I'll go in and just try to push the seams out so I can kind of make it more sharp and pointy, and you can do that on each corner. So now we got all the corners kind of with a nice point. Now we can press the mask. After we finish pressing, now we can create the pleats. So now we can like fold the fabric, something like that, like some pleats. We'll do each pleat like 1 inch. Now we can press the mask. We're gonna top stitch all the way around. And then keep in mind we have an opening, so the top stitch will close it. So we'll edge stitch about 1/8 of an inch. So basically like 2 points here. Before you start sewing, make sure you don't forget to back tack